Is it on?
Yeah, it should be. Yeah, it's on.
Oh, it's on the camera.
Okay.
It also stems from the fact that not everybody's mean who is facing racial barriers, but some people just don't know who they are. And when a person doesn't know who they are, then they don't know how to accept other people for who they are.
What could also just stem from
skin color
reinforcement.
has nothing to do with your ability to do something. That's the only way it would. Go ahead, say what you're saying.
Probably also has to do with reinforcement of the way the parents are teaching their kids and conditioning through media and television.
Yeah. And their parents learned it from somewhere, and then their parents learned it from somewhere.
And on it goes.
Mm-hmm. And it's stupid, isn't it? I mean, it really is stupid to me. That's probably, if I could think of something that's probably one of the most stupid things that destroys our lives, I would say racism. Because if I can give a biblical response, I would say we run the race with patience of just loving each other, and the race is not given to the swift, the battle to the strong, bread to the wide, favor to men of skill, and wisdom to men of understanding. Time and chance happen to us all, happen to them all. We all need to be working together. This hating somebody because they're black, hating somebody because they're white, hating somebody because they're medium brown skin, light brown skin, dark white, light white, pale white, blue white. That's stupid. They're yellow, they're red. That's stupid. That's like, I mean, the crayons in a crayon box won't change colors because one's red and one's blue, or one's gray. Not that they have not that they have brains or lives, but the crayons all have different colors in the box. That's what makes the box a variety. And that's what how God has designed us. And I'm going to still go back to Cain and Abel. It comes from jealousy. It comes from pain. Some of the racism comes from when a person is traumatized by another person, they need to identify with their trauma. So if I'm in a predominantly white community and a bunch of white people jump on me and hurt me, then I'm going to automatically possibly believe that whenever I see another group of white people, they're going to hurt me. If I'm in a predominantly black community, the same rule applies, and so on and so forth. And that's just, but that's why we have Jesus Christ. I mean, and I'm going to stay there because that's what he really does represent, not what we're saying today. And if he were here, he would tell you that is not who I am or what I do.
Now, what would you say to people who are of other faiths and religions that are on the outside, wondering if we're like, how radical your views are, or, as far as being just for that side, and we won't allow anything else, as far as Christianity, you know what I mean?
What? Christianity works for me, though. That's what works for me. I was a religion and performing arts major in college. And I took a course, Religions of the World.
But are you here to demonize other religions?
Jesus wouldn't do that.
That's right. Jesus wouldn't do that. Like me practicing yoga.
Yoga is a form of prayer. Yoga is prayer. It's a form of prayer. It's meditation prayer. And one thing I told you when I first met you, who did you see bother Buddha when he was sitting under that tree? Nobody. That's, it's so sad that we live in a time where everybody's afraid of everything and everybody. Everybody is. Except we have people like you and me, which are probably just a few rarities in today's time. Parents are afraid of their children. Children are afraid of their parents. Doctors are afraid of their patients. Patients are afraid of their doctors. Judges are afraid of the people that come before them. The people are afraid of the judges that they go before. Lawyers are afraid of the law. Bankers are afraid of the money. Everybody is afraid of everybody and everything now. And that is not the will of God concerning our lives. And I know in some religions they don't teach the word God or Jesus Christ. I know that. But everybody has somebody that they feel like they know is a source of strength. Whether you use the name God, Allah, well, I won't go there. God, Yahweh, however, Jesus Christ. And we all have to give an account. Even in some of the other religions, one religion teaches, I don't recall whether it was Sikhism, Jainism, or Taoism, where the way you live and the way you were brought in is the way that you are transformed. People don't believe in another life, in an afterlife. Some people don't believe in many, many, many things. But back to Jesus again. Jesus wouldn't cut off their ears because they didn't want to hear what he had to say. He would just say, I'm available. If you want to receive me, I'm good. And I'm going to tell you, what's bothering me as to why we really need leadership in America is because I totally disagree with going in other people's territories and lands, blowing up their homes, their places of worship, their schools, murdering their children over things that we didn't come here with and will never leave here with. When we leave this earth, we're not going to have any of those things. That's sick. And that's sick, the fact that our nation's leaders are preparing us for another war. Only the sad and even more sick thing about it is they're preparing a war within our own country.
A domestic war.
A domestic war, a financial war, a racial war, a religious war right here in America. The quote unquote United States of America, the states are not united. They're united in being divided, but they're not united for the purpose of family, for the purpose of future, for the purpose of faith, or for the purpose of functioning as America should be functioning to be the leading nation of this world. We're so blessed in America. We are so blessed in America. And people are taking that for granted. We have gotten to extremes with everything here. It's lawless. It's reckless. It's a mindset that has got to be changed. And I'm not talking about changing cliche. I'm not talking about, okay, let's pick somebody for change, or just say no to drugs. And then when you say no to drugs, then you get beat up or locked up and accused of something being wrong with your mind, and then you get drugs forced in you. So you can't really say no to drugs in America. Other countries are worse. Because in other countries, women would not even be able to say what I'm saying right now. Speak as freely as I'm speaking right now. And even so in America, my voice is still silenced in so many other venues and platforms. People do not want to hear what I have to say because of the color of my skin, because of my faith, because of my boldness, because of the fact that I'm single.
And you're a female?
Yes, because I'm a female, because I'm heterosexual. Things have gotten out of control with that. I feel like I've lost almost all of my rights as a heterosexual female. First, I conceived children through rape. I love my children, and I don't want anybody to twist that. I love my children. I don't like the way I conceived them, but I love my children. Then when I get my children, I get denied the right through the process of things to not only protect my children and myself from violence and other forms of abuse, but I'm denied the opportunity and the right to provide for us. And then I see other people getting in the media, I won't call names, holding a baby, probably my color, maybe a little darker, in this person's hands and arms, say, now your mom or your dad can tell you a woman can be president, who has dressed up as a black person for Halloween, knowing my circumstances and my situation, and has never one time picked up a phone, responded to my calls and my cries out for injustices that I've been receiving through her process of things. And I won't say the other name, but if the money was so good, I'm just going to take something as basic as the potholes in the streets. And that's one of the reasons I disagree with the person who ran against the mayor of the city of Cleveland. Don't bring entertainers in here on my watch to tickle the emotions of people as if black people are jokers and just in a courtyard. Don't bring in entertainers to make people look like fools. Because if your money did all that you claim, you made all these billions and zillions and trillions of dollars, why hasn't your money been used for something other than buying guns in America? Something other than infiltrating communities with drugs in America? Something other than promoting violence in childbirth in America? Something other than putting metal detectors in schools and taking pens and paper and prayer out of school, replacing them with pistols and pledges? If your money does so much, why are horrible things said to people when people are being denied the right to respond? If your money is so big and so fantastic and so fabulous, why is the church suffering? You know, I don't like the fact that people come through the church and exploit the church. And they use it for these little agendas. And I don't like the fact that some of my fellow clergy buy into that mess. They tell me they can't acknowledge my presidential campaign, but I hear them promoting other people. Nobody's been more faithful to the church than me. Nobody. You know, I don't know. I'm just bothered by what I see. I'm bothered by what I have experienced and what I am currently experiencing. I'm bothered about what I know. And I'm bothered by the fact that I'm silenced through media to speak my voice and to have a choice on what I want for myself. When law enforcement officers, the law that they enforce is to abuse me, beat me up, torture me, give me a suicide blanket and tell me to kill myself, and beat me up outside of my home when I call them for help, there's something wrong with that picture. Anytime I report the sodomy, rape, torture, and abuse of my children to the judicial system, as well as my being raped and abused, and they silence my voice because I say, no, I don't want that, and then destroy police reports, alter police reports, deny me police reports, anytime, and this is current now, I'm talking about my mail being violated where I can't get mail. And anytime I report rape, pedophilia, and other things, and it goes nowhere to anybody in leadership, I'm talking about on a national platform. There's something wrong. And the reason many people don't want me to be the leader is because they know I'm not going to go for that. They already know. It is what it is. I've lived to not just see it. I've lived to not only experience it, I've lived to change some of this. And I don't like it. And I'm going to go into preacher mode real quick because America needs to repent and fall on their faces and ask for an apology from the heavens for what America's doing. You have a bar on every corner. You have people believing that they're not sufficient in who they are and they need to do something and put something in their minds and their bodies to change their minds because they're not sufficient in being who they are, who God has made them. Now, one thing America does have that's good, the word cuts, but it also means America has an opportunity to turn its face and change and do some things very differently. We still have resources. We have limited relationships because we messed up with people all over the world. We have, and we're still messing up. And we're still, America, I'm not going to say we as in me, but America's still lying to people, including Americans, about the agenda for this country. We have land, and we have opportunity. We have air, and we have opportunity. We have favor of God right now, and we have opportunity. America can pick up, get up, stand up, and show up, or America's going to lose all that America has. I didn't just experience, witness, and endure racism, sexism as a child. I'm still going through it. It hasn't gone anywhere. It hasn't, quote unquote, changed. It's still what it is. It hasn't changed. Matter of fact, it's probably worse. A whole lot worse than what it could ever be. Because anytime it's the law, whether it be 13 white people or 13 black people or 13 Hispanic people or 13 whatever people, are allowed to gun down two unarmed people of another race, and that's the law, we got something going on around here. Anytime a young woman gets murdered for just expressing how she feels about something in front of her family, but she has to be labeled as mentally ill first to justify it. Anytime a young child has a gun and it's considered to be a weapon, my question is why is the gun produced in the first place if it's a weapon of mass destruction? No child should have a gun. Nobody should have a gun. What do you need it for? And when I was down, and I'm going to say this again because I said it at the RNC, when I was downtown and saw all the money spent on those fences around government buildings, and I'm going to ask this question again, I hope somebody calls me with an answer. What is America doing that's so afraid that it needs to watch its back, that they need to put up fences? What have they done to people that they're afraid? What has America done that they're afraid to go to sleep around here? And who have they done it to?
Well, they would say ISIS. They would say terrorism.
Who has America terrorized? How do you pack up and demand people go get a gun and murder people in another place, in somebody else's home? I don't watch my back because I live right. I'm not worried about somebody doing something to me because I did something to them. I tell my children, you need to sneak and do, you have no business doing it. Don't be bold in stupidity, but don't sneak and do anything either. Because everything you do comes to a head at some point in time in your life. And somebody always knows, and you always get it exposed. At some point in time, it's going to be the most inconvenient time that you could ever know. Anything you need to sneak and do is the same as telling a lie. And I don't want a liar around me, because a liar will get you killed. Because a liar will steal, and a liar will get you killed. What has America done? Because even today, when we were trying to take care of our negotiations and our business, we had people that did not speak the English language who don't have any compassion for we who do. Our amenities, our resources are in foreign soil now. Taxes and tithing are gained through the residue of war, from war. We don't need to have a war in order to get what we need. I'm tired of this bullying process. I really am. Another thing I'm concerned about is the Department of Children and Family Services. Your thing wrong. In Ohio and Indiana, that's what they call it. But it's not that. It's not the Department of Children and Family Services at all. Then they have something called Children First, Kids First. Kids are goats, by the way, anybody. Your children are not kids. And what you say to your children is what they become. The injustices that I've been receiving, no one ever considered me, Steve. No one. Not even my family. They just assumed I did something wrong and for me to deserve losing everything, including my credibility. I did what was right. I reported abuse. That's not wrong. And it's real. Judges have been making deals against my life. Doctors have been telling lies about me and signing documents against my life. Preachers help steal my children from me against my life. Religious leaders of different, as you call it, different faiths, have had their hands on this, in on this. How do I have children by a man who rapes his own sons and gets away with it? So tortures them, sodomizes them, and abuses them, and gets away with it because he's related to a congressman, a judge, and a police officer. But I'm supposed to be crazy. He maintains his job, I lose mine. And he's a licensed, ordained Baptist preacher. Tell me what's wrong with that picture, because that's not what Jesus would do. Altered my files. And I just noticed yesterday that he supposedly filed paperwork in 2002, and that's not even true. I wasn't even here in 2002, and he didn't do it in 2002 because I had a civil protection order in place that the judge signed off on, and then within 6 months of that, signed off on something against me. How you for me one minute and you're against me the next, and you never communicate with me to see if I'm okay? He didn't just do it to his own sons, our own sons. He did it to my daughters and to me. The man, Lord have mercy, Jesus. Every time I think about it, I can't even explain it.
I can imagine.
The torture part of this is, I was at work. He held our oldest son against the radiator in our home. a plug of skin out of his stomach
Oh.
and threw him against the wall, heated up a pot of grease, and threw it at him and my oldest daughter, who I have by another abusive person. And you know how when you go home, you can feel something, you know it's not right in your house. This man works for the city right now. And he gets away with this. The Department of Children and Family Services said our son's rectum was torn from him having sex with him. And they blame me for it. How can I be to blame when I'm the one reporting the abuse? Trying to get into a homeless shelter, doing police reports. The man kidnapped us and put it in, and held us in the house and hid my keys so I couldn't come and go. Then we realized I was getting in and out of the house with the screwdriver because nobody would take me in and embrace me with these 4 children. Then he locks me out of the house. Nobody will look out for me. No, but I'm going to emphasize that nobody. And then when the mayor, who's the mayor now, was president of city council at the time, was in his position, everybody blocked me from getting to him. And I'm not going to be even led to believe that he had them doing it. Because when I ultimately met this person, I'm not saying names on purpose to be legal. When I ultimately met this person, they were nothing like how people have portrayed this person to be for me. Just as kind and gentle and not deceitful as one could ever be in a gentleman and a scholar. Let me go back to this. My grandmother died in 2001. This was like a sequence of events. The devil just went crazy in my life. Within the same month that my grandmother died, the same man who sexually abused, tortured, sodomized the children and me and did horrible things, I came in from the circus one day with 3 of the children, because my younger daughter was with her godmother, who was a judge, and he beat me. He knocked the baby out of my arms. The baby went in the air. Then the pillow went in the air. Then the baby landed on the floor, and then the pillow on top of the baby, and then I went in the air and landed on both of them. He stomped me and he beat me. And he said, I don't give a F about that. I don't give a F about you. If the police say anything to me, you getting that divorce. I crawled to the phone. My oldest daughter was looking in through the window. The 2 boys, well, you know, what happened to one, and the other one was eating a bowl of cereal. Look what you made him do. Look what you made him do. Because he had been torturing us the whole time. And the police asked me did I want to go with them. And I couldn't trust the police. I knew they were going to let me back out on the street again. First of all, and then they were already acting like I was crazy. And then my other daughter hadn't gotten back home. So I asked, did I want him to go to jail? And I said, you know you're going to let him right back out. So why are you even asking me that? Then when my other daughter came, she was with her godmother. And I asked her godmother to take her. And then I went over to a church, Rivers of Living Water, over on Etna. And the pastor's wife did not want him to help us because I'm light-skinned. This pastor's deceased now. And he wouldn't let him help us. Anyway, also within a sequence of events, I had my children enrolled in Shaker schools. And a little girl came to my home to visit my daughters. They're the same age, because my daughters are 14 months apart. And the little girl sexually assaulted my daughters in my home. I called children's services, just like I called children's services on everything else that affected the relationship between my children and me and the impact of, I've done police reports and everything. Instead of having compassion for us, they further abused us, and they still do it today. Sometimes I wish there wasn't enough she did in my home. Because I heard the bathroom door lock, and it was something that didn't feel right or sound right, because her parents had come to pick her up. And they had been playing dress up like children do. They were like kindergarten, first grade, little children, younger children.
This girl was older than.
No, they were the same age. And how I found out, I was driving down the street one day, and I heard my younger daughter say to my older daughter, "I hope she doesn't do what she did to you before." Mom's radar went off in her head. Now keep in mind, we're being abused already, and we've already been abused by the father of my daughters. And I said, do what? Girls do what? And they told me what happened. I did a UE and went and called 911. So they labeled it rape. They blamed us for that. I went up to the school to check on my children, on my daughter. She was going to Boulevard Elementary School at the time. My daughter was being scolded because the same little girl who did what she did in my home had knocked my daughter down on the playground and dragged her through the school by her hair. And my daughter was being scolded for not being assertive enough. Earlier, she had tried to climb the bathroom stall to get to my daughter while my daughter was using the restroom. She got away with it because she's an adopted girl who adopted by a rich Jewish family. And she's also Chinese. And you know the deals America's made with China. We've lost almost probably everything. We can't put Jesus or a cross on the front steps of City Hall, but we can put dogs and pigs because animals matter more than people do nowadays. And that's not to say that Chinese people are bad, but that's not to say that we're bad either. And that little girl and her family should not have gotten away with that. And they give her all these honors and everything else. But I'm not going to stay on here long and talk long. I'm going to summarize this by saying, I'm still being abused, I'm still being neglected, and I'm still being endangered by a system that's supposed to work for me. And I'm willing to fight for what is right for America. This is ridiculous. I can't get my mail. I can't have my campaign acknowledged. When I filed a lawsuit against the federal election, you did hear me take the S off, so I am grammatically correct, Commission and the Federal Communications Commission for denying me equal opportunity under the law for my campaign, and I was blocked by the judges and banned from filing. Because they have made up their minds that my skin color is the wrong one. My gender is the wrong one. My faith stance is the wrong one. As well as whatever their other issues would be. In 2004, I did not vote for George Bush and my ballot disappeared. In 2008, I did not vote for Barack Obama. Not only did my ballot disappear, but I got beat up shy of 1 month of the election, tortured, strapped to a device in Cuyahoga County, Ohio, Justice Center in the city of Cleveland, strapped to a device, wheeled away, tortured, stripped out of my clothes, given a suicide blanket. Let me give you the exact date, October 7th, 2008. Told to kill myself, and told that if I don't say what they want to hear, they're going to charge me with a felony just for showing up in the Justice Center. Then my ballot disappears, and then I go to do some other research for something else to find out that my vote was never counted in the election. So I go to try to find out why. And the director for the Board of Elections at the time, I'm going to say this name because she needs to be addressed, Jane Platten, under the direction of Timothy McGinty and Bill Mason, administrative and presiding judge Larry Jones. Do I need to go any further? Anyway, they had me put in the psychiatric ward of a hospital for inquiring about my ballot, saying I was balloting people. Is that abnormal? Does that seem abnormal to ask why your ballot didn't get counted in a vote in an election? Okay. So, this year, the Board of Elections acknowledged to me that they know they have messed up and they're not going to do anything to correct it. So I hope and I pray that people, when they do hear my name, do decide to vote for me. And if you need to write it in, you may do so. If you want my name on the ballot, I ask you to push the issue. But the jacked up thing is that Judge Donald C. Newton began blocking me when I was filing my complaints against these people with this racism and these other issues. I live watching my back. And the jacked up thing about this is that President, as you all call him, Barack Obama, and his wife, Bill and Hillary Clinton, George and, is it Barbara, the last Bush? Oh, anyway, the last Bush, who was the president, Donald and Mrs. Trump know my story. And it's not a story as in a fable or a fairy tale. Councilman Jeffrey D. Johnson of Ward 10 in Cleveland, Ohio. This is real, and it's in your face. I deserve to be the leader of our nation because I'm not just an overcomer, but I believe in America. And I believe in the potential and the power that has kept me. In 2012, I ran again for president. Only in 2012, 1 month before the election, I went to Cleveland Clinic to get some matters straightened out, only to be locked in a psych unit room, illegally transported to Lutheran Hospital, where a doctor by the name of David Stream told me that he was going to find a judge to medicate me after he lied and said he spoke to me and didn't. And another doctor by the name of Dr. Dale said he was monitoring me to see how I was going to respond when they put their hands on me in court. Isn't that interesting? And they made sure I stayed in there so I couldn't be in the debates. When I got out 1 week before the election, I was forced to sign a document falsely accusing me of something after Judge Cheryl S. Carter's bailiff, Lucy DeLeon, told me to file the motions and then lied and said she didn't tell me to do it. And I was told by the detective in the Cuyahoga County Sheriff's Department that if I did not sign this document, that I was going to be banned from all government buildings. Keep in mind, let me bring something back to you. After these liars, thieves, and murderers steal my children, rob me of my baby, make me homeless, beat me up, torture me, and all these other things they've done to me. After they do this, Lord have mercy, they have the nerve to ban me from government buildings. After I signed the document, they still started banning me from government buildings. I went to go in the building in the Old County Courthouse, and my picture was on the flyer. I said, "Oh, let me have a copy of that." No. Since then, my home's been broken into still. That wasn't the first time. Oh, let me stick something in here. I moved into where I live now approximately November 1st, 2006, because these people made me homeless. Within the year that I moved there, my landlord, Mr. Jimmy L. Hope Sr., passed out my keys to the other tenants, told them negative things about me, my birth certificate, social security card, my state ID for the state of Indiana, and my sermons were stolen. Keeping in mind, you all, I didn't have anything because they stripped me of everything. So who would know to even look for something like that? Some of my concerns are covered in what I'm telling you. I've talked to you about many, many issues. Social Security is affected by this. Children and Family Services is affected by it. Family Values is affected by this discussion with you. The electoral process is affected by this. Judge James Payne of Indianapolis, Indiana, your screen's going down. Judge James Payne of Indianapolis, Indiana, ordered a hit on me from his bench. He told the abusive father of my two daughters to come to Ohio to proceed against me, and things are in place for him to do so, as he input into his computer on his bench with 3 people lynched me in the box in the courtroom, with a courtroom full of people. I told him, look at me when you're talking to me. Don't order a hit on me and you can't look me in my face. He just looked up at me like, who is this crazy woman? I leave out the courtroom and I get surrounded by deputies, waving something in their hand, talking about, you threatened the judge, you threatened the judge. I said, look like you're threatening me. Get out of my face and get out of my way. And the 2 ladies who were there with me, they didn't get to go to the courtroom. They came out in a crowd of people. And one of the bailiffs had the nerve to say, go on and take your meds. Why don't you take your meds? I'm like, meds? I don't know how many meds. What is she talking about? And the man had gotten thrown out. Kareem had gotten thrown out the building while I was in the courtroom because he was making a big stink. But anyway, Judge James Payne, he was the administrative and presiding judge of Marion County Superior Court Juvenile Division, while Judge Larry Jones was the administrative and presiding judge for Cleveland Municipal Court, and Timothy Flanagan was the AJPJ for the Common Pleas Court Domestic Relations Division, and Timothy Flanagan was the judge. And do I need to go down the list, you all, or are you getting the picture here? Ballots disappearing, babies disappearing. And these people had the nerve to go into a school after telling lies about us, telling my children, and told my children I gave them away, put them up for adoption, knew they were being taken, and sent them to pick them up as they held me captive, where I was supposed to be safe under my civil protection order. Came in and robbed me of my baby, and to this day I have never gotten a lawyer to represent me. So you tell me all the different things that this matter covers. You don't have time. The father of my sons who did these sexual abuses and these other abuses, who was doing things to the children and to me, beat me that day so bad that Cleveland Clinic sent me out of the hospital with my rectum in my underwear. Completely. And when I got to my primary care physician at Kaiser Permanente, they said I should have been dead and they didn't know how I was alive. They sent me to a specialist to replace my rectum. And the specialists wanted to go back up in naturally because they didn't want the side effects or any damage for having to replace it.
All this is documented.
Every bit of it. And not one leader has stepped up to the plate, with the exception of the one who I finally got to recently. And he's getting as much opposition as he can get. And then I met someone who's a leader, but he's catching some problems himself, so he can't do but so much. But, and I will say your name, because I'm not ashamed to say that I know you. And his name is Mayor Frank G. Jackson. He has stepped up to the plate on my behalf. I currently live in conditions below a pigsty. Some of my belongings have been in storage for 6 years because of a slum landlord named Jimmy Pope, where I have asked that an investigation be done and that Evening Corporation, Connections, and some others get prosecuted for theft, along with a few other things.
We have the paperwork on that. We could post that stuff later.
Absolutely. And passing inspections. You know, I'm going to say something real quick. If I were not in my right mind, I would be dead. If I had lost my mind for an iota of a second, Steve, I would be dead. That's why.
I already said it's a miracle you're not on drugs and whatever else.
And I'm not crazy. And it's a miracle that I'm not mentally ill. It's a God that's keeping me, Steve. And I can't quite explain it completely, but I know God is keeping me, Steve, because I just recently got off of sleeping on the floor where I live. They told me in the process of things, Cleveland Clinic and some others, that if I don't put psychiatric drugs in my body, they're going to cut off all of my community resources. And they're going to find somebody to forcibly put meds in my body.
When it's the psychiatric drugs that are making people mentally ill to begin with.
Yes. You're trying to change my mind to cover up your wrongdoing, and for we believers, it's called sin. You're trying to change my mind because I'm saying no. You know, this is some sick stuff that you hear about. People want to talk about people in other countries and even in other religious beliefs. But Christians are doing this mess to me, who profess to be Christians, not real Christians.
A lot of people hide behind that as a veil.
Absolutely. And that's why Jesus scolded his disciples when they went outside of what they should be believing in. That's why Jesus said, great works have I done, greater works shall you do. We have no business as Christians owning a gun, using a gun, and participating and promoting the death penalty or war. None. I'm not changing my mind on that. I'm not backing off on it. I can go down the list, but we don't have time. We're going to just start there. Murder-minded Christians, really? Even though it is appointed once for man, woman, boy, and girl to die, after the death, the resurrection, that's the key piece right there. You're going to live someplace. In heaven or in hell. You're going to go one or the other. So who are you to take somebody's life? I'm a living miracle. And I really want to show how we are really to live. I want to lead, but I won't be able to do it without your assistance and your cooperation. I love all of you. I love America. And I thank you, Mayor Frank G. Jackson, Councilman T.J. Dow, and the judge, I'm not allowed to say your name. I thank you for stepping up to the plate. I honor my mother and my father and my mother, my dad and my mom, upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth me, so that my days are going to be long. They've been longer than I want them to be sometimes. Don't get it twisted. Don't think I haven't been through some places and in some things and had some challenges, because I have. I've had street drugs forced on me. I've had medical drugs forced on me. I've had pistols pulled on me. Name something that probably has happened to me. When they made me homeless, the system made me homeless. I slept with raccoons, stray dogs, cats, spiders, mice. I had a white mouse sitting over my head that made me know it was time to get up, because we don't share spaces together. Rats, you name it. But I want to just close by telling you today, you be of good courage. Rise, America, rise. It's time to live and show others how to do so. I am a fivefold minister, which means I am an apostolate. I do not carry the titles of men. I am a prophetess. I am an evangelist, a pastor, and a teacher. And each one kicks in at different components of my life. So I am willing to do what needs to be done for the health, the wholeness, and the healing, and the hope of America. To show others in the land how to live, how to love, how to laugh, and how to leap into your faith. I'm blessed, and I'm highly favored. Do we make void the law because of our faith? God forbid. Yea, we, America, establish the law. God bless you.